Hi everyone! So for this week I decided to do how online schooling is just as effective as face-to-face classes. Now online schooling, we all know what that is because we are all in an online class. There are ways that online schooling is so that you can earn your entire degree online, or you can just take certain classes online. We are all in an online class because, well, we are in this class. And I personally feel that because of this class, it's much more effective for me and it's a better way for me to learn. There are many things that people will talk about to make online schooling seem like they aren't as efficient as face-to-face. For example, you can fall behind in the class, and some people may not understand what they are learning inside the class, and they don't feel comfortable enough to go to the teacher and ask for help. And lastly, they do have a higher dropout rate, but I will talk about that later on. But it is there are aspects to online schooling that people may not take into consideration, or if they do, they don't really understand fully what it is. Now, for example, because of online schooling, it can make your life a lot easier and make it so that your schedule can become more flexible and you can have an easier life, so to say. And it can also be less expensive if you take online classes, and I'll talk about that later on because that may not apply to everybody, but it's definitely something to take into consideration. Now, I am taking 2 classes online and 2 classes face-to-face, and because of a mess up last quarter, I am still able to get my AS because of online classes. If it wasn't for online classes, I wouldn't be able to do that. I believe that online classes are just as effective as face-to-face. Now, let's take a look at the not-so-positive sides to online schooling. There is a side to online schooling that isn't that positive, and it can make it so that people will think that online schooling is not as efficient. What I mean is because the online classes are online, you have to have a lot of responsibility. And if you do not have that responsibility, you can fall behind in the class. From one of my sources, it quotes, online students can't rely on as much instructor and peer feedback and accountability as traditional courses sometimes offer. There is a chance that the student will not understand what the material is, and they won't ask the teacher for help. From my second source, it quotes, research conducted by the International Review of Research in Open and Distant Learning suggests that online courses can create student/professor misunderstandings, which leads to misinterpretation of the class. Now, I experienced that in one of the online courses, but I was able to message the professor and ask for help. Lastly, there is the factor that you have a higher dropout rating. From another one of my sources, which is the one that I just quoted, course completion for traditional courses was 90%, and for online classes it was 82%. Additionally, students in the study who took online courses were less likely to complete a degree or to transfer to another college. With that said, there are other factors that may not have been discussed as to why the online student dropped out. Now, with that said, we're going to take a look at the positive side of online schooling and why it is more efficient in a way. When taking online schooling, there are many sides that people may not know about, or it can be a game changer if they knew about them. When you think about it, being a full-time student at college and still having a job or being a parent or having a life or anything like that, it can become really stressful. Like for me personally, I was a gymnast for the last 3 months for the high school, and I found it really stressful for finding the time to be able to have my gymnastics practice, getting all my homework done, and still having time for friends and family. But taking an online course can reduce that stress because you have the ability to do your homework on your own time. I because of this online class in the History 146 class that I'm taking, I'm able to have that more lenient time and figure out when it would be best to do the homework on my schedule. From one of my positive side sources, they say online college degrees and programs make it possible for the student to work during the day and complete their studies from home at night. Those who spend a lot of time traveling due to work can also complete their education in their spare time. Another benefit that can make it so you aren't as stressed is the fact that it can be cheaper to take online classes because you don't have to pay certain fees, such as the room and board fees. From my other source, they say studying online means that you have to pay the tuition fees, possibly book supplies and online application fees, and a few other items. You don't, however, incur the cost of housing, which can range from $10,000 to $12,000 a year, and transportation, which translates to lower debt and more savings. There is also the fact that you have the ability to become more responsible and self-disciplined. If you take online classes, you still have to do all your homework, tests, and all of the other things, but you have to have the responsibility to remember how to do it. Not how to do it, but when to do it. Let's sum all this up. Now, online schooling is when you take a class or you get your degree online. These reasons include that you can fall behind if you are not careful. There is also the reason that some people may not understand the material and they won't go to the teacher and ask for help. Lastly, they do have a higher dropout rate. But what people don't really realize is that it can be cheaper to take online classes. You can have less stressful life because you can do your homework on your own time. You can learn the responsibility and self-discipline, and you can lastly have a more flexible schedule, and it will make your life easier. Now, my father is actually going to get his associates in criminal justice all online because he has a full-time job and he has three kids and another one on the way. He enjoys the fact that he has the ability to still get his degree even though he can't attend the actual classes. And it is for this reason that I believe that online classes are just as important as face-to-face classes. Thank you. I know it was a little bit over time, but I needed to get that last part in there. So, thank you for listening and have a great day.